Back in April, Pippa Middleton became an overnight sensation, wowing the world at Prince William and Catherine's royal wedding.
Well, it's not just the tabloids that can't get enough of Pippa. A cable channel here in the States had a primetime special on her last night.
The instant we saw her pick up Kate's train, suddenly the world sort of took a collective gasp and needed to sort of know.
In 2011, Pippa Middleton's life changed forever at her sister's royal wedding. While the cameras loved her, the aftermath created headlines she never asked for. Years later, behind the closed doors of an unraveling marriage, Pippa found herself suffocating under expectations she couldn't meet. What pressures drove her to lose sight of her identity, and how did she find the courage to reclaim it? This is her untold story. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. In the spring of 2011, the world was captivated by the grand spectacle of Kate Middleton and Prince William's royal wedding. But amidst the vows, the balcony kiss, and the endless parade of hats, one unexpected moment steered the spotlight onto someone else entirely. Kate's younger sister, Pippa Middleton, as she stepped forward in that now iconic white Alexander McQueen bridesmaid dress. Millions watching around the globe were struck by her poised demeanor, her understated beauty, and of course, the undeniable elegance of her figure in that form-fitting gown.
And future queen arrived at Westminster Abbey for the biggest day of her life, she probably never imagined all eyes would be on her little sister, Pippa. A Facebook page honoring Pippa's posterior was online, attracting 40,000 fans. Pippa Mania was officially underway. The night, the 27-year-old socialite went from bridesmaid to what Britain's Daily Mail calls the world's most eligible bachelorette.
What was an unforgettable day for her family marked something much more complicated for Pippa. Her quiet, ordinary life would never be the same again. Overnight, her name became tabloid gold. Commentators couldn't get enough of the sister in the dress, from magazine spreads dissecting her every move to photographers camped outside her home. For Pippa, the attention was anything but flattering. Headlines began zeroing in on her appearance, some praising her natural grace and others reducing her to objectifying descriptions, leaving little room for the person she was beyond the images splashed across the front pages. Pippa Mania became a media frenzy, and suddenly she found herself compared to her sister in every way imaginable. For Kate, the newfound fame came hand in hand with her role as Duchess of Cambridge. But for Pippa, public attention wasn't something she had ever anticipated or wanted. It wasn't just the paparazzi outside her door, or the endless speculation about her personal life. The constant comparisons to Kate made every day a minefield. Where Kate was labeled regal and effortlessly sophisticated, Pippa was painted as the fun-loving sister, or worse, a socialite grasping at stolen fame.
With a smile that lights up London and a figure that's the envy of women everywhere, Pippa's assets are attracting a lot of attention.
Gorgeous. she stole the show. She stole the attention from her sister.
I think it's probably just like classy, natural, elegant look.
Though she's been dubbed her royal hotness, it's not just her body that's stealing the spotlight. For many, Pippa is the total package.
Beyond the jokes about that bridesmaid dress, magazines went after her hairstyles, her style choices, and her friendships in ways that would later come to define how celebrity culture exploited women's private lives. Tabloids salivated over her relationships, printing columns about who she was allegedly involved with, while online forums unleashed anonymous commentary on her body and romantic life.
While she constantly graces the covers of tabloids and is a favorite target of gossip websites, the world still can't get enough.
Pippa has fantastic style. We're obsessed with everything she wears, much like her older sister.
Who's that girl?
Last night, TLC aired an hour-long documentary proving that people really are crazy about Pippa.
The psychological toll was significant. Fame experts often highlight how sudden, intense public scrutiny can wreak havoc on someone's sense of self, especially when they're thrust into the limelight without the resources to handle it. Pippa wasn't raised to be a celebrity, and although polite and gracious in interviews, interviews, her family had always been firmly private. Overnight fame left her reeling, struggling to reconcile her private identity with the public version of herself that others had built. Psychologists have noted that this mismatch between how we see ourselves and how the world sees us can lead to feelings of imposter syndrome, anxiety, and self-doubt. In ways that few could see, the playful and confident Pippa everyone assumed they knew was slowly unraveling. Things became even harder when the attention began to strain her personal relationships. At the time, Pippa was dating Alex Loudon, a former professional cricketer and financier known for his down-to-earth personality. Initially, Alex seemed happy to brush off the chaos surrounding her sudden fame, but as the months wore on, friends of the couple revealed that the endless media glare began to cause friction between them. Pippa couldn't go anywhere without being mobbed by photographers, and her once private moments with Alex were constantly overshadowed by scrutiny. As someone who valued his everyday anonymity, Alex found the attention unsettling and, according to reports, difficult to live with. It wasn't just the loss of privacy, it was the way their relationship became tabloid fodder, analyzed and criticized by strangers. Pippa, caught between managing the unrelenting public interest and maintaining her relationship, felt the walls closing in. The couple had heated arguments on how to handle the pressures, and while they genuinely cared for each other, the differences in how they responded to her newfound fame became impossible to overcome. By late 2011, the two parted ways. The breakup left Pippa heartbroken, not just over Alex, but over what her life had become, a distorted mirror of the attention she never sought. Her relationship with Alex was in ruins, and the media continued its relentless pursuit of her next move. But as the years went on, it became clear that this breakup wasn't the only casualty of her public image. The intricate dance between Pippa's private self and public persona was far from over, and little did she know, the shadows of that old dress and the frenzy surrounding her would follow her into her marriage with James Matthews, and that took a toll no one could have imagined. From the outside, Pippa Middleton and James Matthews seemed to have it all. A stunning wedding at a countryside estate, two families that represented success and sophistication, and of course, a love story worthy of the headlines.
Pippa Middleton marrying hedge fund manager James Matthews on Saturday at St. Mark's Church in Inglefield, England, filled with pink and white flowers.
It was billed as a private occasion. Actually, it was very much by royal appointment.
Among the royal guests, Prince William, who arrived with brother in a stunning gown by designer Giles Deacon.
It was a classic cotton silk lace gown with a high neck.
But like many things wrapped in glittering exteriors, the reality inside was something entirely different. At the center of it was James himself, a man so markedly different from the kind of partners Pippa had once been linked to. Reserved, intensely private, and deeply uninterested in anything resembling fame, James was a stark contrast to the public whirlwind Pippa had been swept into years earlier. For a time, that quiet strength seemed to bring balance to her chaotic world, but underneath it, tensions began to brew. For Pippa, adapting to James's world required more than just adjusting to his personality. It demanded a shift in how she carried herself in public. Once known for her bright, confident energy, Pippa gradually began dimming parts of herself to align with her husband's lifestyle. The glamorous, fun-loving image the media had so thoroughly documented began to fade. Her appearances became fewer and far more subdued, both in style and in frequency. That Pippa who once embraced bold colors or fashion-forward choices was noticeably stepping back, opting instead for muted tones and understated designs, choices that were quieter, much like James himself. Slowly but unmistakably, she seemed to be retreating from the life she had once navigated with such poise. Perhaps the biggest loss wasn't the marriage itself, but what it cost Pippa personally. As she worked to make compromises for James and his world, her sense of self gradually eroded. Some close to her described it as her dimming, a once bright personality losing its vigor under the weight of conformity, her independence, which had been a hallmark of her identity, and the thing that had made her stand out, was fading. The years spent trying to adapt to a life she didn't entirely choose left her questioning who she was and whether this version of her life was sustainable. The eventual collapse of their marriage was, in many ways, unsurprising. There was no public scandal, no shocking announcement, just a quiet, undeniable unraveling. When James began to visibly withdraw from public life altogether, it was a signal that the partnership was struggling far more than anyone outside their world could see. For Pippa, the process of stepping back into herself began only after the marriage loosened its hold on her. Reclaiming her identity could only happen once she decided to stop trying to fit into a mold that didn't suit her. Pippa Middleton's story is a reminder of how quickly one moment can change everything. That bridesmaid dress, the sudden fame, the endless comparisons, they all shaped a reality she never asked for, one that blurred her identity, but now she's taking it back. By stepping out of the spotlight, Pippa is reclaiming her voice and focusing on what truly matters to her. Her choices today, from her quiet lifestyle to her renewed strength, speak louder than the headlines ever could. Fame may shine bright, but the cost is often hidden. As for Pippa's next chapter, that's hers to decide.